Commander Jack Miller stood on the observation deck of Earth's orbital defense station, his breath catching in his throat. The alien ship appeared suddenly, materializing just beyond the moon's orbit. It glowed with a soft blue light that pulsed like a heartbeat. Unlike the clunky human spacecraft, this vessel moved with impossible grace. "All stations report," Jack ordered into his comm. His voice remained steady despite the hammering in his chest. "No hostile actions detected, sir," replied the weapons officer. "They're broadcasting on all frequencies. Some kind of greeting." The message came through moments later. The aliens called themselves the Galactic Council, a union of 17 spacefaring species who had watched Earth for decades. Now they wanted to talk. 3 days later, Jack stood in the United Nations hall beside Admiral Susan Wright as the alien representatives walked in. The Ilarians moved like dancers, their tall blue forms flowing rather than stepping. The Zentari followed, gray-skinned beings with 4 arms and eyes that seemed to calculate everything they saw. "We welcome Earth to the greater community," said the lead Ilarian in perfect English. His name was Zyrex, and he called himself an ambassador. "For too long, your world has developed in isolation. We offer friendship, technology, and protection." Admiral Wright leaned close to Jack. "They're very generous. I wonder why." Zyrex explained. The galaxy faced threats from the Draconian Empire, an expanding force of conquerors who had already swallowed 12 systems. The Council needed allies, and humans had shown remarkable adaptability and military thinking. "Your species achieves in decades what takes others centuries," Zyrex said, his voice smooth as silk. "We need this spirit among our ranks." The world leaders bombarded the aliens with questions. What technology would they share? What would Earth provide in return? Were there other threats besides these Draconians? Jack noticed that Susan Wright asked the hardest questions. "If the Draconians are so dangerous, why approach us now? We can barely reach Mars. What good are we in your war?" The Zentari representative clicked his teeth before answering. "Potential. Humans have potential unmatched by any species we have encountered. Given proper tools, you will advance rapidly." The negotiations lasted weeks. Some Earth nations wanted to rush into the agreement. Others, led by Admiral Wright's cautious advisors, wanted more guarantees. Jack found himself assigned as military liaison, spending hours learning about council races and their technology. "They're offering us faster-than-light travel," one excited scientist told Jack. "Do you understand what this means? We could reach Alpha Centauri in days instead of decades." But when Jack shared this with Susan Wright, she frowned. "And what do they want in return?" "Military bases on Earth. Access to our resources. There's always a price." Despite the concerns, Earth's major powers voted to join the Galactic Council. The alternative, remaining alone in a galaxy with threats like the Draconians, seemed foolish. The signing ceremony took place on a clear summer day in Geneva. Crowds gathered to watch on giant screens as human leaders stood with alien representatives. Zyrex placed his 4-fingered hand on the document and spoke words that were broadcast to billions. "Today marks the beginning of humanity's rise. Together, we will ensure peace and prosperity for all Council worlds." Jack watched from the sidelines, feeling a mix of hope and worry. Susan Wright stood beside him, her face unreadable. "History will remember this day," Jack said. Susan nodded slowly. "Yes, it will. I just hope it's for the right reasons." As the ceremony ended, the alien ships performed an aerial display above the city. Streaks of colored light painted the sky as the vessels moved in impossible patterns. The crowd cheered, their faces upturned in wonder. No one noticed the small devices the ships deployed in high orbit, quietly mapping Earth's defenses. No one except Susan Wright, who made a note to investigate further once the celebrations ended. 5 years passed since Earth joined the Galactic Council. Captain William Foster stood on the bridge of the U.S. Defender, one of the first human ships built with Council technology. The vessel hummed with power that would have seemed magical just years ago. Yet William frowned as he looked at the nearby council ships. "They're holding back on us," he said to his second-in-command. "This ship is faster than our old ones, but nothing like what the Illyrians fly." The Defender patrolled the outer edge of the solar system alongside 3 council vessels. They called these joint missions defensive exercises, but William noticed they spent more time scanning Earth's defenses than looking outward for threats. Back on Earth, Lieutenant Olivia Carter walked through the halls of the North American Joint Command Center. Half the building now housed council representatives. They claimed to be military advisors, but they rarely shared useful information. Olivia's job was to coordinate communications between human and alien forces. Today, she noticed something odd. A large data packet had been sent from the council section to their homeworld. It wasn't in any of the translation programs the council had given humans. "Computer, run my personal decryption program," she whispered, copying the data to her private terminal. Hours later, Olivia stared at the partial translation. The words "human containment" and "resource acquisition" appeared multiple times. This wasn't the language of allies. That same day, Dr. Alan Martinez examined the medical technology the Council had provided. As Earth's leading expert on alien biology, he had noticed patterns in what the Council shared and what they kept secret. "They give us medicine, but not the science behind it," he told his assistant. "They want us dependent, not educated." Alan had secretly built his own lab to reverse engineer Council tech. What he discovered worried him. The defensive systems the Council installed around Earth had a hidden feature. They could be turned inward, against the planet. At a high-level meeting at the Pentagon, Admiral Susan Wright listened as Council representatives explained their latest proposal. They wanted to station more ships around Earth, claiming increased draconian activity. "We haven't seen any evidence of these draconians in 5 years," Susan said. "Not one ship, not one signal." The Zentari representative clicked his teeth in that way Susan had learned meant annoyance. "The threat remains. Your sensors are not advanced enough to detect their long-range scouts." After the meeting, Susan called William, Olivia, and Alan to her private office, one she had carefully swept for listening devices. "Something isn't right," she began. "The Council keeps promising advanced technology, but delivers only watered-down versions. Meanwhile, they map our defenses and place their ships in strategic positions around our planet." Olivia showed them her partial translation. Alan described the hidden functions in the defensive systems. William reported how Council ships frequently disappeared on special missions without explanation. "I think we were sold a lie," Susan said. "The question is why. What do they want from us?" "Resources," suggested William. "Earth has water, metals, biological diversity." "Or they fear us," Alan said quietly. "In my work with their biology team, I've noticed how impressed they are with human adaptability. One Illyrian scientist told me humans learn in months what took their species generations." Susan nodded slowly. "We need to prepare," quietly. "Olivia, keep decrypting their communications. Alan, push harder on understanding their technology. William, I want hidden weapons on your ship, ones the Council doesn't know about." As they left, William stopped at the door. "What if we're wrong? What if they are protecting us?" Susan's face was grim. "Then no harm done. But if we're right, and they mean to betray us, we'll need every advantage we can get." Outside the window, a Council ship glided silently over the Pentagon, its sensors sweeping the building. Inside, the aliens watched their monitors and made notes about the unusual meeting the human sensors couldn't detect. Time was running short. Captain William Foster stood on the bridge of the U.S. Defender, watching the Council ships move into formation. Today was supposed to be a routine joint exercise in the asteroid belt. 6 human ships and 12 Council vessels practiced defense maneuvers against imaginary draconian attackers. "All systems normal," reported his navigation officer. "Council ships maintaining formation at 3,000 kilometers." William nodded but felt uneasy. Last night, Olivia Carter had sent him a partially decoded message. The Council had used a phrase that translated roughly to execution day. Today's date followed. "Keep our shields at full power," William ordered quietly, "and prepare our hidden weapons, just in case." His crew looked nervous but followed orders. Over the past month, William had secretly installed weapons that the Council didn't know about. If his suspicions were wrong, he would face serious trouble. If he was right, the radio crackled. "Captain Foster, this is Council Commander Zex. Your ship is drifting out of formation. Please correct." "Acknowledged," William replied, knowing full well his ship was exactly where it should be. Suddenly, alerts blared across the bridge. Council ships were powering up weapons, not just one or two, all of them. "Incoming transmission from Earth," shouted the communications officer. Admiral Susan Wright's face appeared on screen. Her uniform was torn and smoke filled the background. "All Earth vessels, this is not a drill. We are under attack. Council forces have opened fire on our orbital stations and ground defenses. They've declared Earth's territory as contested space. Return to Earth immediately." Before William could respond, energy beams lanced out from the Council ships. 2 human vessels exploded instantly, caught completely by surprise. "Evasive maneuvers," William shouted. "Return fire with all weapons." The Defender shuddered as it accelerated away from the ambush. Their hidden weapons fired back, surprising the Council ships. One Illyrian vessel took heavy damage, its shields failing under the unexpected attack. "Sir, we're receiving a broad transmission from the Council fleet," the communications officer reported. A Zentari commander appeared on screen. "Attention humans, your species has been judged too dangerous for unrestricted development. The Galactic Council, in agreement with the Draconian Empire, has determined Earth will be placed under joint administration. Surrender your vessels and cease resistance. This arrangement has been planned for years. Resistance is pointless." William stared in shock. The Draconians? They're supposed to be enemies. As if in answer, new ships appeared, larger vessels with red markings. The Draconians had arrived, and they were fighting alongside the Council. "They lied about everything," William muttered. Then louder, "Get us out of here. Jump to emergency coordinates." The U.S. Defender accelerated to maximum speed, taking heavy fire. 2 more human ships exploded nearby. Only William's vessel and 1 other remained. "Admiral Wright, this is Foster. Most of our fleet is gone. We're retreating to emergency position Alpha. What's the situation on Earth?" Susan's voice came through filled with static. "They hit us without warning. Orbital defenses are failing. They're landing troops near major cities. Foster, listen carefully. We need time. Get to the backup facility on Mars. We've activated Protocol Phoenix." The transmission cut off as a massive explosion lit up the Earth's atmosphere. The orbital defense station had been destroyed. William looked at his surviving crew. Many stations stood empty, their operators killed in the attack. "Set course for Mars. Maximum speed." As the Defender limped away, they received desperate transmissions from Earth. Council ships surrounded the planet, demanding surrender. Ground defenses fought back, but were overwhelmed by superior technology. The betrayal was complete. Humanity had been deceived, infiltrated, and attacked. Now they faced a choice: surrender or fight against impossible odds. William Foster clenched his fists as he watched the sensor readings. "They think they've won," he said quietly. "They have no idea what humans do when backed into a corner." 6 months passed since the Council betrayal. Earth lived under alien occupation. Council ships patrolled the skies, and alien soldiers walked the streets of major cities. They installed human puppets to run governments and enforce their rules. In a hidden underground lab beneath the ruins of Denver, Dr. Alan Martinez worked by the light of salvaged power cells. Around him, 20 scientists and engineers studied pieces of Council technology stolen in daring raids. "The power core is the key," Alan explained to the group. "Their shields need constant energy. If we can disrupt that flow, their defenses fail. The door slid open. Olivia Carter entered, now wearing the dirty uniform of the Resistance. A fresh scar ran across her cheek. 2 rebels followed her, carrying a large metal box. "We got it," she said, her voice tired but proud. "A council communication relay. Cost us 3 good people." Aelin touched her shoulder gently. "Their sacrifice will matter. Every piece helps us understand their weaknesses." Olivia nodded. "Any word from Foster or Wright?" "Nothing direct. Too dangerous." Aelin pointed to a small device on his desk. "But we received the signal. 3 pulses last night. Mars base is operational." Outside the lab, humanity struggled under council rule. Food was scarce in cities. Anyone who resisted disappeared. The aliens claimed they were guiding humans to a better future, but their actions showed otherwise. They stripped Earth of resources and searched for something they called special humans, people who showed unusual adaptability or intelligence. Far from Earth, Captain William Foster and his remaining crew hid the U.S. Defender inside a hollow asteroid. They had survived by staying mobile, never using main power for long, and avoiding detection. William studied the star map showing Council patrol routes. "They're pulling ships from the outer system," he told his crew. "Something's happening." His communications officer looked up from her station. "Sir, we're receiving a tight beam transmission from Mars. Admiral Wright requests our presence." 2 days later, William guided the Defender into a canyon on the Red Planet. The ship descended into a massive underground hangar hidden from orbital sensors. He gasped as the lights revealed dozens of workers building ships, human ships, but unlike any he had seen before. Admiral Susan Wright greeted him at the airlock. Her hair had turned completely gray, and new lines marked her face. "Welcome to Phoenix Base," she said. "We've been busy." She led William through tunnels carved deep into Martian rock. They passed workshops, training areas, and storage rooms filled with materials. "How did you build all this?" William asked in amazement. "We had plans in place before the betrayal," Susan explained. "I never fully trusted the Council. When they attacked, we activated sleeper cells and evacuated key personnel. The Resistance on Earth provides intelligence and steals technology. We do the rest." They entered a massive chamber. In the center stood a ship unlike any William had seen. Sleek and deadly, its hull gleamed with a strange metal. "The first Phoenix-class warship," Susan said with pride. "Built with everything we've learned about Council technology, plus some innovations of our own." William walked around the vessel. "How does it compare to Council ships?" "We don't know yet, but it has advantages they won't expect. Human-designed quantum shields, weapons targeting their specific vulnerabilities, and most importantly, a crew that knows how to improvise." Susan's face hardened. "The Council thinks they know humans. They think we're primitive, predictable. But they made a crucial mistake. They judged us by their standards." She activated a holographic display showing Earth surrounded by Council ships. "They believe they've won. They're stripping our planet, taking our resources, but they don't understand what they've created." William nodded slowly. "A species with nothing left to lose." "Exactly," Susan said. "Now it's time for Phase 2. The Resistance has provided us with the locations of Council supply depots and communication hubs. We're going to start hitting them. Hard." William looked at the Phoenix ship. "When do we begin?" Susan smiled grimly. "The first strike team leaves tomorrow. And Captain Foster, you're commanding one of our new ships." Admiral Susan Wright stood before the holographic display in the heart of the Mars base. Around her, officers watched as red dots representing Council ships moved across the map of the solar system. "They're searching the asteroid belt again," said her tactical officer. "Third sweep this month. They know we're out here somewhere." Susan nodded. "Let them search. Project Phoenix continues regardless." Project Phoenix had grown beyond a single ship. Now 15 vessels were complete, with 20 more under construction. The underground shipyards worked day and night. Engineers and scientists pushed human technology forward at a pace that would have been impossible before the war. In his laboratory, Dr. Alan Martinez examined the new shield generators. The design combined stolen Council technology with human innovation. When tested, they proved stronger than pure alien shields. The Council thinks linearly, Alan explained to his team. They improve technology step by step over centuries. We jump ahead, make connections they miss. His assistant pointed to a diagram. The power requirements are still too high. The ships can't maintain shields at full strength for more than 30 minutes. Alan smiled. Then we make sure fights don't last that long. On the other side of the base, Captain William Foster trained pilots for the new Phoenix ships. Most were survivors from Earth's original Space Force. Others were civilians with quick reflexes and sharp minds. Council ships rely on predictable attack patterns, William told them. They've fought the same enemies the same way for thousands of years. We will be unpredictable. Change tactics mid-battle. Do what they think is impossible. A young pilot raised her hand. But their ships are faster and more heavily armed. True, William admitted, but our ships have innovations they've never seen. And remember, they think humans are primitive. Surprise will be our best weapon. Back on Earth, Olivia Carter led a team through the ruins of Chicago. Council forces had destroyed parts of the city during an uprising the previous month. Now they searched for survivors and supplies. Olivia's radio crackled. Phoenix rising, came the coded message from Mars. Time frame, 7 days. She smiled grimly. The counterattack was coming. Her teams needed to be ready. That night, resistance cells across Earth received the same message. Small groups began targeting Council communication relays. Others prepared to attack collaborator forces. The Council sensed something was happening but couldn't find the source of the coordination. On Mars, the final preparations began. Susan Wright addressed the crews of the first attack wave. For months, we've watched our planet suffer. We've built, trained, and prepared. Now it's time to show the Council what humans can do when pushed too far. The plan was simple but bold. 5 Phoenix ships would attack a major Council supply depot near Jupiter. When reinforcements came, 10 more ships would strike at Council bases across the solar system. The attacks would seem random to the enemy, but each target was carefully chosen. William Foster would lead the first wave aboard the Phoenix One. As he prepared his ship, Susan visited him on the bridge. The Council made 2 mistakes, she told him. First, they thought we would surrender. Second, they forgot what humans do best, adapt and overcome. William nodded. When do we launch? Dawn. Earth time. Let's give them something to remember. As the crews made final preparations, Alan Martinez arrived with his team. They carried small devices to be installed on each ship. My latest creation, Alan explained. It targets the frequency of Council shields. 1 hit should disrupt their defenses for 30 seconds. Make those seconds count. Throughout the night, crews loaded weapons and checked systems. Nobody slept. The moment they had worked toward for months was finally here. At Earth dawn, though it meant nothing on Mars, the hangar doors opened. The first 5 Phoenix ships rose from the red planet's surface. Their new hulls reflected the sun as they accelerated toward Jupiter. In orbit around Earth, Council commanders noticed unusual energy readings from Mars. Before they could investigate, resistance fighters attacked their ground bases. The distraction worked perfectly. The human counterattack had begun. Captain William Foster gripped his command chair as Phoenix One approached the Council supply depot near Jupiter. 4 other human ships followed in tight formation. The massive gas giant provided some cover from enemy sensors, but not for long. Enemy ships detected, reported his sensor officer. 3 patrol vessels near the depot. They haven't spotted us yet. William nodded. Remember our training. Hit hard, hit fast, and be unpredictable. The 5 Phoenix ships accelerated suddenly, emerging from Jupiter's shadow at full speed. Council patrol ships scrambled to respond, but the human vessels were already firing. Alan Martinez's shield disruptors struck the first Council ship. Its protective barrier flickered and failed. "Direct hit," shouted the weapons officer. Phoenix One's main guns fired again, tearing through the unprotected Council vessel. The battle lasted less than 10 minutes. The human ships moved in patterns the Council had never seen, attacking from multiple angles simultaneously. When it ended, the supply depot and all 3 patrol ships floated in ruins. "Minimal damage to our fleet," William reported to Mars base. "Shield disruptors worked perfectly. Phase 1 complete." On the Council homeworld, alarms sounded in the High Command Center. The Ilarian Supreme Commander stared at the reports in disbelief. "Impossible," he hissed. "The humans are defeated. Their technology is primitive." His Zentari advisor clicked nervously. "The depot near Jupiter has been destroyed. Our patrols never even sent a distress signal." Before they could process this information, new alerts appeared. Human ships had struck a communications relay near Saturn, then a fuel processing station near Venus. Within hours, reports came in of 10 separate attacks across the solar system. "They're everywhere," the Zentari said. "How did they build ships without our knowledge?" The Supreme Commander slammed his fist down. "Pull forces from Earth's orbit. Find and destroy these ships immediately." Back on Earth, Olivia Carter watched from a hillside as Council ships lifted off from their main base outside the ruins of Washington. Nearly half their occupation force was departing, responding to the attacks elsewhere. Now, she whispered into her radio. Across the planet, resistance cells launched coordinated attacks on weakened Council positions. Years of hiding and planning had prepared them for this moment. Stolen Council weapons gave them the edge they needed. In Denver, resistance fighters led by Alan's assistant captured the Council's Western Command Center. In Beijing, another group took control of a weapons depot. Similar victories came from every continent. Council forces were caught by surprise. They had grown complacent, believing humans were broken. Now they faced a planet-wide uprising while their ships chased the Phoenix fleet across the solar system. On Mars, Admiral Susan Wright monitored the situation with growing satisfaction. "Phase 2 complete," she announced to her staff. "Council forces are dividing exactly as we predicted." A young officer approached with a datapad. "Admiral, the shipyards report 10 more Phoenix vessels ready for deployment. And Dr. Martinez has sent new shield designs that improve efficiency by 30%. Susan smiled. 3 years of hiding and building are about to pay off. Launch the second wave. In deep space, William Foster's Phoenix won rendezvous with the other first-wave ships. Despite minor damage, all 5 vessels remained combat-ready. New orders from Admiral Wright. His communications officer reported. "We're to proceed to these coordinates near Neptune. Second wave will join us there." William studied the location. "That's dangerously close to the Council's main fleet." "Yes, sir." Admiral Wright also says, "The noose is tightening." William understood the plan now. The first attacks were just distractions. The real target was the Council's main fleet. While they scattered their forces chasing phantom threats, the combined Phoenix ships would strike their core defensive position. "Set course for Neptune," William ordered, "and prepare all weapons systems. The real battle is about to begin." As Phoenix 1 accelerated, the stars seemed to blur. For the first time since the betrayal, William allowed himself to feel hope. Humanity wasn't just surviving anymore. They were fighting back. And the Council was finally learning what humans could do when pushed too far. Near the orbit of Neptune, 30 Phoenix ships gathered in the shadow of a small moon. Captain William Foster stood on the bridge of Phoenix 1, studying the tactical display. The Council's main fleet, 25 warships, patrolled nearby, unaware of the human vessels. "All ships report ready," said his communications officer. "Shield disruptors charged and targeting systems locked." William nodded. "Send the signal to Admiral Wright. Operation Vengeance is ready to begin." On Mars, Susan Wright received the message and immediately contacted Earth. "Olivia, We're moving to Phase 3. Is Earth resistance ready? From her hidden command post, Olivia Carter replied, all cells in position. Council forces are spread thin. We can hit their remaining bases simultaneously. Susan smiled grimly. Execute in 30 minutes. Good luck. Back at Neptune, William addressed the commanders of all Phoenix ships. The Council thought they could crush humanity and take our world. Today we show them their mistake. The human fleet moved silently from behind the moon. They approached in a new formation, one the Council had never seen before. Instead of the traditional line or wedge formation, the Phoenix ships formed a sphere, weapons pointing outward. William watched the distance countdown. All ships, activate stealth systems. Dr. Martinez's latest technology rendered the human vessels nearly invisible to Council sensors. They closed half the distance before alarms finally sounded in the Council fleet. Now, William ordered. 30 Phoenix ships fired simultaneously. Shield disruptors struck the Council vessels, followed immediately by weapons fire. 7 Council ships lost shields in the first volley. 5 were destroyed outright. They're scrambling to respond, reported the tactical officer. Their formation is breaking. The Council fleet had never faced an attack like this. Their ships tried to form a defensive line, but the sphere of Phoenix vessels continued to advance, firing from all directions. Council commanders followed their standard battle protocols, exactly as William had predicted. Group 2, break and attack their flanks, William ordered. Group 3, target their command ship. The Phoenix ships moved with perfect coordination. 10 ships broke from the sphere to attack from below, while 5 others targeted the largest Council vessel. Council ships fired desperately, but their shots mostly missed the faster human vessels. On the Council command ship, the Illyrian fleet commander watched in horror as his vessels exploded one by one. Contact the Draconian allies, he ordered. We need reinforcements immediately. His communications officer worked frantically at his console. Sir, the Draconians are not responding. Their nearest fleet reports engine troubles and cannot assist. The commander cursed. The Draconians were abandoning them, unwilling to face this unexpected human resistance. Across the solar system, Council communication networks lit up with desperate messages. At Jupiter, their secondary fleet was engaged with another group of human ships. Near Earth, the occupation forces were under attack from thousands of resistance fighters using stolen Council weapons. William Foster watched the battle unfold exactly as planned. Target their command ship with all remaining disruptors. Multiple beams struck the Council flagship. Its shields flickered and died. The massive vessel tried to retreat, but Phoenix ships surrounded it. They're transmitting a message, said the communications officer. Audio only. Let's hear it, William replied. The Illyrian commander's voice filled the bridge. Human vessels, we request immediate cessation of hostilities. We are prepared to discuss terms. William smiled coldly. No terms. Unconditional surrender only. After a brief pause, the reply came. We accept surrender terms. Please cease fire. William gave the order to stop the attack. Of the 25 Council warships, only 8 remained, all heavily damaged. The human fleet had lost just 3 vessels. Send word to Admiral Wright, William ordered. Neptune sector secured. Council main fleet has surrendered. As the message traveled to Mars, William stared at the crippled Council ships. The aliens who had arrived with such arrogance, who had betrayed humanity and occupied Earth, were now at humanity's mercy. On Earth, Olivia's resistance fighters watched in amazement as Council troops laid down their weapons and retreated to their remaining ships. News of the defeat at Neptune had reached them. Their war was lost. The tide had turned. Humanity was taking back their solar system. 1 month after the Battle of Neptune, Admiral Susan Wright stood on the bridge of Phoenix Command, the largest human vessel ever built. Around her, a fleet of 50 Phoenix ships escorted the captured Council vessels. Their destination, the Galactic Council homeworld. "We're approaching the final jump point," her navigation officer reported. "All systems ready." Susan nodded. "Signal all ships. Prepare for jump." The massive fleet disappeared in flashes of light as they entered faster than light travel. The technology, once jealously guarded by the Council, now served humanity's purposes. On the Council homeworld, panic spread through the alien government. Their military leaders had assured them that the human rebellion was contained. Now sensors detected a massive fleet approaching, human ships, and captured Council vessels. The Illyrian High Chancellor called an emergency meeting. Representatives from all 17 Council species gathered in the Grand Chamber. "How could this happen?" demanded the Centauri ambassador. "Humans were primitive. Their planet was under our control." Before anyone could answer, the chamber's main screen activated. Admiral Susan Wright's face appeared. "This is Admiral Wright of the human fleet. Your forces in our solar system have surrendered. Your occupation of Earth has ended. We are here to discuss new terms for our relationship." The Council leaders looked at each other in shock. Humans were not supposed to have this technology, this power, this confidence. The High Chancellor stepped forward. "This is unprecedented. The Council does not negotiate under threat." Susan's expression remained calm. "You had your chance for peaceful relations. You chose betrayal. Now you will listen." Outside the Council chamber, William Foster led a small team through the alien city. They moved with purpose toward the Council's military command center. Resistance was minimal. Most defense forces had been sent to fight humans in the solar system. Using Alan Martinez's security override codes, taken from captured ships, they entered the command center easily. William accessed the main computer and uploaded a special program. Across the planet, Council defense systems went offline. In orbit, Phoenix ships surrounded the Council homeworld. For the first time, in thousands of years, the seat of galactic power lay defenseless. In the Grand Chamber, Susan continued addressing the Council. "These are our terms. First, immediate recognition of Earth's independence. Second, reparations for damage done during your occupation. Third, full access to all Council technology. Fourth, trial of those responsible for planning the betrayal of Earth." The Draconian representative stood. "We reject these demands. The Draconian Empire will." Susan cut him off. "The Draconian fleet is currently surrounded by 30 Phoenix ships near their homeworld. Your choice is simple. Accept our terms or face the consequences." On Earth, Olivia Carter stood in the sunlight of a free planet. Council ships had departed, leaving behind their technology and equipment. Crowds celebrated in streets that had been under alien control for years. Dr. Alan Martinez joined her, watching children play in a park that had been a Council security zone. "What happens now?" Olivia asked. Alan smiled. "We rebuild, and we make sure nothing like this ever happens again." In the Council chamber, the aliens debated briefly before surrendering to the inevitable. They had underestimated humans from the beginning. Now they were paying the price. The High Chancellor signed the agreement Susan presented. "The Council accepts your terms." Later, on Phoenix Command, Susan met with William, Olivia, and Alan via secure communication. "It's done," she told them. "Earth is free, and the Council has accepted our conditions." William looked thoughtful. "They'll try again someday, once they recover their strength." Susan nodded. "That's why we're establishing the Human Protectorate. Our ships will patrol this sector of space. Any aggression against Earth will be met with immediate response." Olivia smiled. "They thought they could conquer us because we were less advanced. They never understood what makes humans special. Our adaptability," Alan said. "Our creativity under pressure. Our determination when facing impossible odds." Susan looked out at the stars. "They saw us as primitive because we were young. They never considered that youth also means potential. Now they understand." The Phoenix fleet remained in orbit around the Council homeworld for 1 week. When they departed, they left behind a changed galaxy, one where humanity was no longer seen as an easy target, but as a power to be respected and feared. The Council had betrayed humanity, and when the human fleet arrived, they paid the price.